not able to get it all condensed into a short enough teaching. So we're going to be doing Judges 20 this week, and we're just continuing on through Judges. I'm going to read the whole chapter, and then we'll talk about it. So Judges 20, starting at verse 1. So all the children of Israel came out from Dan to Beersheba, as well as from the land of Gilead. And the congregation gathered together as one man before Jehovah at Mizpah. And the leaders of all the people, all the tribes of Israel, presented themselves in the assembly of the people of God, 400,000 foot soldiers who drew the sword. Now the children of Benjamin heard that the children of Israel had gone up to Mizpah. Then the children of Israel said, "Tell us, how did this wicked deed happen?" So this is where we're going to get the overview of what happened last week, if you don't remember. So, the Levite, the husband of the woman who was murdered, answered and said, "My concubine and I went into Geba, which belongs to Benjamin, to spend the night. And the men of Geba rose against me and surrounded the house at night because of me. They intended to kill me, but instead they ravished my concubine so that she died. So I took hold of my concubine, cut her into pieces, and sent her throughout all the territory of the inheritance of Israel, because they committed lewdness and outrage in Israel. Look, all of you are children of Israel. Give your advice and counsel here and now." So all the people arose as one man, saying, "None of us will go to his tent, nor will any turn back to his house. But now this is the thing which we will do to Geba. We will go up against it by lot. We will take 10 men out of every 100 throughout the tribes of Israel, 100 out of every 1,000, and 1,000 out of every 10,000, to make provisions for the people, that when they come to Geba in Benjamin, they may repay all the vileness that they have done in Israel." So all the men of Israel were gathered against the city, united together as one man. Then the tribes of Israel sent men through all the tribe of Benjamin, saying, "What is this wickedness that has occurred among you? Now, therefore, deliver up the men, the perverted men who are in Geba, that we may put them to death and remove the evil from Israel." But the children of Benjamin would not listen to the voice of their brethren. The children of Israel, instead, the children of Benjamin gathered together from their cities to Geba to go to battle against the children of Israel. And from their cities at that time, the children of Benjamin numbered 26,000 men who drew the sword, besides the inhabitants of Geba, who numbered 700 select men. Among all this people were 700 select men who were left-handed. Everyone could sling a stone at a hair's breadth and not miss. I don't know why left-handedness gives you better accuracy with slinging a stone, but
I don't know. I'm sure it's true, though.
Oh yes, definitely. Now besides Benjamin, the men of Israel numbered 400,000 men who drew the sword. All of these were men of war. Then the children of Israel arose and went up to the house of God to inquire of God. They said, "Which of us shall go up first to battle against the children of Benjamin?" Jehovah said, "Judah first." So the children of Israel rose in the morning and encamped against Geba. And the men of Israel went out to battle against Benjamin. And the men of Israel put themselves in battle array to fight against them at Geba. Then the children of Benjamin came out of Geba, and on that day cut down to the ground 22,000 men of the Israelites. And the people, that is, the men of Israel, encouraged themselves and again formed the battle line at the place where they had put themselves in array on the first day. Then the children of Israel went up and wept before Jehovah until evening, and asked counsel of Jehovah, saying, "Shall I again draw near for battle against the children of my brother Benjamin?" And Jehovah said, "Go up against him." So the children of Israel approached the children of Benjamin on the second day. And Benjamin went out against from Geba on the second day, and cut down to the ground 18,000 more of the children of Israel. All these drew the sword. Then all the children of Israel, that is, all the people, went up and came to the house of God and wept. They sat there before Jehovah and fasted that day until evening, and they offered burnt offerings and peace offerings before Jehovah. So the children of Israel inquired of Jehovah. The ark of the covenant of God was there in those days, and Phinehas, the son of Eleazar, the son of Aaron, stood before it in those days, saying, Shall I yet again go out to battle against the children, my brother Benjamin, or shall I cease? And Jehovah said, Go up, for tomorrow I will deliver them into your hand. Then Israel sent men in ambush all around Geba, and the children of Israel went up against the children of Benjamin on the third day, and put themselves in battle array against Geba as at other times. So the children of Benjamin went out against the people and were drawn away from the city. They began to strike down and kill some of the people as at the other times in the highways, on one of which goes up to Bethel and the other to Geba, and in the field about 30 men of Israel. And the children of Benjamin said, They are defeated before us as at first. But the children of Israel said, Let us flee and draw them away from the city to the highways. So all the men of Israel rose from their place and put themselves in battle array at Baal Tamar. Then Israel's men in ambush burst forth from their position in the plain of Geba, and 10,000 select men from all Israel came against Geba, and the battle was fierce. But the Benjaminites did not know that disaster was upon them. Jehovah defeated Benjamin before Israel, and the children of Israel destroyed that day 25,100 Benjaminites. All these drew the sword. So the children of Benjamin saw that they were defeated. The men of Israel had given ground to the Benjaminites, because they relied on the men in ambush whom they had set against Geba. And the men in ambush quickly rushed upon Geba. The men in ambush spread out and struck the whole city with the edge of the sword. Now the appointed signal between the men of Israel and the men in ambush was that they would make a great cloud of smoke rise up from the city, whereupon the men of Israel would turn in battle. Now Benjamin had begun to strike and kill about 30 of the men of Israel, for they said, Surely they are defeated before us, as in the first battle. But when the cloud began to rise from the city in the column of smoke, the Benjamites looked behind them, and there was the whole city going up in smoke to heaven. And when the men of Israel turned back, the men of Benjamin panicked, for they saw their disaster had come upon them. Therefore they turned their backs before the men of Israel in the direction of the wilderness, but the battle overtook them, and whoever came out of the cities they destroyed in their midst. They surrounded the Benjamites, chased them, and easily trampled them down as far as the front of Geba toward the east. And 18,000 men of Benjamin fell. All these were men of valor. Then they turned and fled toward the wilderness to the rock of Rimmon, and they cut down 5,000 of them on the highways. Then they pursued them relentlessly to Gidom and killed 2,000 of them. So all who fell of Benjamin that day were 25,000 men who drew the sword. All these were men of valor. But 600 men turned and fled toward the wilderness to the rock of Rimmon, and they stayed at the rock of Rimmon for 4 months. And the men of Israel turned back against the children of Benjamin and struck them down with the edge of the sword. From every city, men and beasts, all who were found, they also set fire to all the cities they came to. So, I wanted to show what time this was. Again, this is in the time actually before the stories of the judges that we've been reading through, but after Joshua's death. And how do we know that? Because of Phinehas. Phinehas is, we're going to read his stories and who he was now. So in Numbers 25, we first hear of Phinehas. He is the grandson of Aaron, the son of Eleazar. So in Numbers 25, 1 through 13 is the first time we hear of Phinehas. Numbers 25, 1 through 13. Now Israel remained in Acacia Grove, and the people began to commit harlotry with the women of Moab. They invited the people to the sacrifices of their gods, and the people ate and bowed down to their gods. So Israel was joined to Baal of Peor, and the anger of Jehovah aroused against Israel. Then Jehovah said to Moses, "Take all the leaders of the people and hang the offenders before Jehovah out in the sun, that the fierce anger of Jehovah may turn away from Israel." So Moses said to the judges of Israel, "Every one of you kill his men who were joined to Baal of Peor." And indeed, one of the children of Israel came and presented to his brethren a Midianite woman in the sight of Moses, and in the sight of all the congregation of the children of Israel, who were weeping at the door of tabernacle of meeting. Now when Phinehas, the son of Eleazar, the son of Aaron, the priest, the same person we're reading about now in this story in Judges, he rose from among the congregation, he took a javelin in his hand, and he went after the man of Israel into the tent and thrust both of them through, the man of Israel and the woman, through her body. So the plague was stopped among the children of Israel, and those who died in the plague were 24,000. Then Jehovah spoke to Moses, saying, "Phinehas the son of Eleazar, the son of Aaron the priest, has turned back my wrath from the children of Israel, because he was zealous with my zeal among them, so that I did not consume the children of Israel in my zeal. Therefore say, Behold, I give to him my covenant of peace, and it shall be to him his descendants, and after him a covenant of an everlasting priesthood, because he was zealous for his God, and made atonement for the children of Israel." This is the first time we see Phinehas, and he's given a covenant of peace. And the second time we hear Phinehas is actually in Joshua 22, 13 through 31. Excuse me. Joshua 22, 13 through 31. So we see that Phinehas isn't afraid to take on sin. So here, he's sent out by Joshua. Then the children of Israel sent Phinehas, the son of Eleazar the priest, to the children of Reuben, to the children of Gad, and to the half-tribe of Manasseh, into the land of Gilead. Sorry, I want to see. Oh, there. And with him 10 rulers, one ruler from each of the chief house of every tribe of Israel. And each one was the head of the house of his father among the divisions of Israel. Then they came to the children of Reuben, to the children of Gad, and to the half-tribe of Manasseh, to the land of Gilead. And they spoke with them, saying, "Thus says the whole congregation of Jehovah, what treachery is this that you have committed against the God of Israel, to turn away this day from following Jehovah, and that you have built for yourselves an altar, that you might rebel this day against Jehovah? Is the iniquity of Peor not enough for us, from which we were not cleansed till this day, although there was a plague in the congregation of Jehovah? But that you must turn away this day from following Jehovah. And it shall be, if you rebel today against Jehovah, that tomorrow he will be angry with the whole congregation of Israel. Nevertheless, if the land of your possession is unclean, then cross over to the land of the possession of Jehovah, where Jehovah's tabernacle stands, and take possession among us. But do not rebel against Jehovah, nor rebel against us by building yourselves an altar besides the altar of Jehovah our God. Did not Achan and son Zerah commit a trespass in the accursed thing, and wrath fall on all the congregation of Israel? And that man did not perish alone in this iniquity? Then the children of Reuben, the children of Gad, and the half-tribe of Manasseh answered, and said to the heads of the divisions of Israel, Jehovah God of gods, he knows, and let Israel itself know. If it is in rebellion or in treachery against Jehovah, do not save us this day. If we have built ourselves an altar to turn for following Jehovah, or if to offer it burnt offerings or grain offerings, or if to offer peace offerings on it, let Jehovah himself require an account. But in fact, we have done it for fear, for a reason, saying, in time to come your descendants may speak to our descendants, saying, what have you to do with Jehovah God of Israel? For Jehovah has made the Jordan a border between you and us. You children of Reuben and children of Gad, you have no part in Jehovah. So your descendants would make our descendants cease fearing Jehovah. Therefore we said, let us now prepare to build ourselves an altar, not for burnt offering, nor for sacrifice, but that it may be a witness between you and us and our generations after us, that we may perform the service of Jehovah before him with our burnt offerings, with our sacrifices, and with our peace offerings, that your descendants may not say to our descendants, in time to come, you have no part in Jehovah. Therefore we said that it will be, when they say this to us or to our generations in time to come, that we may say, here is the replica of the altar of Jehovah, which our fathers made, though not for burnt offerings nor for sacrifices, but it is a witness between you and us. Far be it from us that we should rebel against Jehovah, and turn from following Jehovah this day, to build an altar for burnt offerings, for grain offerings, or for sacrifices, besides the altar of Jehovah our God, which is before his tabernacle. Now when Phinehas the priest and the rulers of the congregation, the heads of the divisions of Israel, who were with him, heard the words that the children of Reuben, the children of Gad, and the children of Manasseh spoke, it pleased them. Then Phinehas the son of Eleazar, the priest, said to the children of Reuben, the children of Gad, and the children of Manasseh, this day we perceive that Jehovah is among us, because you have not committed this treachery against Jehovah. Now you have delivered the children of Israel out of the hand of Jehovah. So, we do see that he did bring peace in this second time we've seen him. And now this third time, he tried to bring peace, even though it doesn't say his name yet. But turn back to Judges 20, verse 13. Judges 20, verse 13. Now therefore, deliver up the men, the perverted men, who are in Geba, that we may put them to death and remove evil from Israel. But the children of Benjamin would not listen to the voice of their brethren, the children of Israel. So they first tried to get a peaceful solution. They tried to let the people know, we just want to get rid of this evil. Let us deal with it. But Benjamin said, nah. At first, when we hear the battle, it evokes thoughts of Ai, the battle of that Joshua had. But because they get defeated, and they end up winning the battle in similar fashion by drawing away from the town and ambushing it. So that's why we see a little bit of Ai. But at Ai, the first battle was lost due to Achan's sin, and Joshua forgot to seek / inquire. I don't know why I said / seek or inquire of Jehovah before the battle. That's not what happened here. Turn back to Judges 20:18. The men didn't forget to inquire of Jehovah. Then the children of Israel arose and went up to the house of God to inquire of God. They said, which of us shall go up first to battle against the children of Benjamin? Not only did they inquire of God, they waited for an answer. God answered them, and they still lost 22,000 men. So we skip ahead to verse 23. After this loss, Judges 20:23. Then the children of Israel went up and wept before Jehovah until evening, and asked counsel of Jehovah, saying, Shall I again draw near for battle against the children of my brother Benjamin? And Jehovah said, Go up against him. So again, they wept and they inquired. They lost another 18,000 men. So we go ahead to verses 26 through 28 of Judges 20. Then all the children of Israel, that is, all the people, went up, came to the house of God, and wept. They sat there before Jehovah and fasted that day until evening. Then they offered burnt offerings and peace offerings before Jehovah. So the children of Israel inquired of Jehovah. And Phinehas, the son of Eleazar, the son of Aaron, stood before it in those days, saying, Shall I yet again go out to battle against the children of my brother Benjamin, or shall I cease? And Jehovah said, Go up, for tomorrow I will deliver them into your hand. Why these 3 times of inquiring? Why didn't God just come through the first time? Well, I decided to look at the number 3. I'm not one of these people that likes to look at numbers a lot. A lot of times I think that people can use them to make you think a lot of different things. That's not what I'm trying to do here. I'm just trying to look at verses and see what may have been happening, why he may have used this number. So I'm going to use verses to explain what these numbers might mean. The first reason may be that 3 is a number of revelation. Let's start with Samuel 3, verses 1 through 10. 1 Samuel, sorry, I didn't write that, but 1 Samuel 3, 1 through 10. And remember, we're looking for revelation here. Now, the boy Samuel ministered to Jehovah before Eli, and the word of Jehovah was rare in those days. There was no widespread revelation. And it came to pass at that time, while Eli was lying down in his place, and when his eyes had begun to grow so dim that he could not see, and before the lamp of God went out in the tabernacle of Jehovah, where the ark of God was, and while Samuel was lying down, that Jehovah called Samuel, and he answered, Here I am. So he ran to Eli and said, Here I am, for you called me. And he said, I did not call. Lie down again. And he went and lay down. Then Jehovah called yet again, Samuel. So Samuel rose and went to Eli and said, Here I am, for you called me. He answered, I did not call, my son. Lie down again. Now Samuel did not know Jehovah, nor was the word of Jehovah yet revealed to him. And Jehovah called Samuel again, the 3rd time. So he arose and went to Eli and said, Here I am, for you did call me. Then Eli perceived that Jehovah had called the boy. Therefore Eli said to Samuel, Go lie down, and it shall be, if he calls you, that you must say, Speak, Lord, or Jehovah, for your servant hears. So Samuel went and lay down in his place. Now Jehovah came and stood. Before revelation, he came and stood. Before he revealed himself, he called Samuel 3 times. Now he comes and stands, and he calls again, but he has already been revealed. Now Jehovah came and stood and called, as at other times, Samuel, Samuel. So here's one time where we see 3 times he is called before he is revealed. Turn with me to Exodus 19, 10 through 15. Okay. Then Jehovah said to Moses, "Go to the people and consecrate them today and tomorrow, and let them wash their clothes, and let them be ready for the 3rd day. For on the 3rd day Jehovah will come down upon Mount Sinai in the sight of all the people. You shall set bounds for the people all around, saying, Take heed to yourselves that you do not go up on the mountain or touch its base. Whoever touches the mountain shall surely be put to death. Not a hand shall touch him, but he shall surely be stoned or shot with an arrow. Whether man or beast, he shall not live. When the trumpet sounds long, they shall come near the mountain." So Moses went down from the mountain to the people and sanctified the people, and they washed their clothes. And he said to the people, "Be ready for the 3rd day. Do not come near your wives." So again, we see 3 days before Jehovah is revealed. And the last place I wanted to point this out was Genesis 18, 1 through 5. Then Jehovah appeared to him by the terebinth trees of Mamre, as he was sitting in the tent door at the heat of the day. So he lifted his eyes and looked, and behold, 3 men were standing by him. And when he saw them, he ran from the tent door to meet them, and bowed himself to the ground, and said, "My Lord, if I have now found favor in your sight, do not pass on your servant. Please let a little water be brought, and wash your feet, and rest yourselves under the tree. And I will bring a morsel of bread, that you may refresh your hearts. After that you may pass by, inasmuch as you have come to your servant." They said, "Do as you have said." So here we see that God appeared as 3 men to Abraham. Next point is that 3 is sometimes shown as a number of harmony. The first point are our fathers of faith. There's so many verses where we see them. I didn't even try to look up a single one. The fathers of the faith are Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. The 3 are always mentioned together. Well, maybe not always, but often mentioned together as the fathers of the faith. Some other places we see harmony brought in with the number 3 is Daniel 6, verse 10. It's just a simple verse. Okay. I used the wrong marker. Nope, that's right. Daniel 6, verse 10. Again, we're looking at the number 3 as like a harmony. Now, when Daniel knew that the writing was signed, he went home, and in his upper room, with his windows open toward Jerusalem, he knelt down on his knees 3 times that day as before, and prayed and gave thanks before his God, as was his custom since early days. He prayed 3 times a day. And Deuteronomy 16 and 17. Deuteronomy 16, verses 16 and 17. 3 times a year all your males shall appear before Jehovah your God in the place which he chooses, at the feast of unleavened bread, at the feast of weeks, and at the feast of tabernacles. And they shall not appear before the Lord empty-handed. Everyone shall give as he is able, according to the blessing of Jehovah your God, which he has given. So we see here 2 reasons why the number 3, but I think probably the most of the 3, if not all 3 together, is because it's a number of rebirth, resurrection, or rededication. And we see this in Matthew 12, 38 through 42.
Repeat that.
Yep. Matthew 12, 38 through 42.
Could you give that rebirth and the other 2? That was 38 and 42.
38 through 42.
Okay.
Rebirth, resurrection, and rededication. Therefore, where am I at? Matthew 12. Not 20. Then some of the scribes and Pharisees answered, saying, Teacher, we want to see a sign from you. But he answered and said to them, An evil and adulterous generation seeks after a sign, and no sign will be given to it, except the sign of the prophet Jonah. For as Jonah was 3 days and 3 nights in the belly of the great fish, so will the Son of Man be 3 days and 3 nights in the heart of the earth. The men of Nineveh will rise up in the judgment with this generation and condemn it, because they repented at the preaching of Jonah. And indeed, a greater than Jonah is here. The queen of the south will rise up in the judgment with this generation and condemn it. For she came from the ends of the earth to hear the wisdom of Solomon. And indeed, a greater than Solomon is here. So we know what Yeshua is referring to here, and that is his death, burial, and resurrection. And it's a 3-day process. We also know of the story of Jonah, which he referenced. And we'll just read that. Jonah 1:17. It's a simple verse. Jonah 1:17. Now Jehovah had prepared a great fish to swallow Jonah, and Jonah was in the belly of the fish 3 days and 3 nights. And again, we know what happened to Jonah. He came in, he was not going to do what God had asked, but now, after being in the fish for 3 days, he's vomited up, and he goes on to the task that God had called him to. But the last one. Turn with me to John 21, verses 15 through 19. So, when they had eaten breakfast, Yeshua said to Simon Peter, Simon, son of Jonah, do you love me more than these? He said to him, Yes, Lord, you know that I love you. He said to him, Feed my lambs. He said to him again, a second time, Simon, son of Jonah, do you love me? He said to him, Yes, Lord, you know that I love you. He said to him, Tend my sheep. He said to him the third time, Simon, son of Jonah, do you love me? Peter was grieved because he had said to him the third time, Do you love me? And he said to him, Lord, you know all things. You know that I love you. Yeshua said to him, Feed my sheep. Most assuredly, I say to you, when you were younger, you girded yourself and walked where you wished. But you are old. You will stretch out your hand, and another will gird you and carry you where you do not wish. This he spoke, signifying by what death he would glorify God. And when he had spoken this, he said to him, "Follow me." This is a rededication, a rebirth. He's calling Peter after Peter had denied him 3 times and reminding him who he is. This may have been why the battle had to go on 3 separate times and why they had to inquire of God, because he wanted it to be harmonious. He wanted Israel to have a rebirth, and he wanted harmony between Israel and the tribes, or all the tribes of Israel. One thing I wanted to point out though, could someone turn to 21 of John, where we just were, and read verse 14 before the verses we read? And remember, when we talked about Phinehas, it was the 3rd time we saw Phinehas. Is somebody willing to read?
We got it.
Eric?
This is now the 3rd time Yeshua showed himself to his disciples after he was raised from the dead.
That verse, actually, I saw that after I'd chosen this verse to read, and I just thought that sort of, to me, it closed out the 3. And sometimes we don't know what God's doing. Sometimes we don't understand. We may feel like we're losing, and we're inquiring. But remember, He's always faithful. It may take time. It may take a price. But Jehovah is faithful. Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.